Okay. Episode 9. Episode 9. Now, this one is interesting. Um, because when I initially saw it, this is why I rewatched it a second time. Because this is how I've honestly looked at a lot of the fandom at this point. You get your first viewing, your shock reaction, oh my god! Then you rewatch it the second time, and certain things kick in, or certain things you think you felt the first time, you dive in deeper to what you're thinking. And episode 9 is a very interesting episode. Because you know those instances where you're like, oh, this story has potential, but like much of Rwby, it's really shallow and it never dives into it. This episode is like where it was actually potential and it's about to dive into it. There was issues. But the issues aren't that bad. I think the problems with this episode stem from the fact that each episode has had a different lead writer, and it's now like it's by the time you get up to like episode 7, 8, 9, it's becoming painfully obvious that although they're following one story, you got all these different writing styles present. And it's the weirdest thing that Rwby's just like, hey, we're so proud that this person wrote this episode and that person wrote this episode. And it's becoming obvious when they're writing a certain episode. In terms of the content this episode, the first thing, and this happened the first time I watched it. This is an idea on how it actually no, they can't fix Rwby this way at this point. They're stuck in a cycle of just pumping out this shit. They're never gonna stop pumping out Rwby. Rwby's low quality, pump out garbage. But just an idea. If episode 8 and episode 9 were one episode, they were just one episode. Because wasn't the last one only like 13 minutes long? And this one's kind of like 15, 16 minutes long? Just take the two and put them together. And when you do that, like the cliffhanger from the last one where he turns off the snow, instead of having some kid go, "Oh look, mommy, it's snowing," just have Watts turn off the heat and have him say something villainous like, "Oh, the show's about to begin," or on to the next stage. Have him say something that, and then it just immediately cuts to where episode 9 begins. Because the whole dinner table scene, everything going on at the Schnee Manor, what's the city, everything going on in these two episodes needs to be viewed as one sitting. It makes it look better. Episode 8 was like, I liked it initially. When you watch it initially, you like it because that's how boring the rest of the volume is. In honestly, like the rest of volume 7 is fucking boring to watch. So when you actually get to 8, and despite it just being a talking episode, it's like things are progressing. Who would have known sitting around and talking can progress a storyline? Oh my fucking god, it's taken them 7 years to figure that shit out. It's like, oh shit, should we just have shitty fighting montages? All the fucking time? Oh look, they went into the mine, new characters using their powers. It's like, no one gives a shit anymore. If you can't incorporate that into well-placed fighting story mechanics, it's not going to work properly. So yeah, that's my first thing. Both episodes should have been put together. There was something that happened this episode. Hang on, before we get into the actual episode, the other issue I had, the spoiler promo for episode 9. That should never have been released. The arsehole who voices Forrest, tell him, fuck off, dude. Your character's dead. No one cares about you anymore. The only reason the hardcore Rwby fans give a shit about you is, I think, Murder and a few others turned you into a fucking meme, because for some reason there's always this one character each volume that people latch onto for the dumbest fucking reasons. And Forrest was his. Like, to me, he annoyed the shit out of me. I didn't like his character, but like, people latched onto him, and so they brought this arsehole voice actor dickhead back to do this stupid ass promo where they ruined half of episode 9. Because if you saw the promo, you knew the Grimm were attacking, you knew there was a hole in the wall, you knew there were riots going on. Half of this episode lost its impact for me, and actually led to things I dislike about the episode. The Grimm attacking, I don't mind. This was going to happen. It's like going into Volume 7, us, the viewer, we know the Grimm are going to attack. We're here to see how and why they attack. And that's been one of the... It's being both good and bad. It's a very messy build up to when the Grimm attack. But God, I'm really trying to get this across. The promo was shit. If I could encourage the fandom at this point, if you're on social media with Rooster Teeth, prior to a Rwby, like, while the Rwby season's on, if I was you, I would unfollow them on, like, Twitter, like, just block everything, because this promo shit is horrible. It's like, at least with shows like My Hero Academia, it's like you're gonna get the preview to the next episode at the end of the current episode. So it's like saying with Rwby Volume 8, by the time Rwby Volume 8 ends and the credits play, if you sit through the credits, there would be the promo video for episode 9, and it comes across as more it's your choice if you want to watch it. The promo videos or the previews, they don't go live on like Crunchyroll and everything until the next episode is actually out. That's how smart the anime community is when they're handling shows. You won't see the promo video for the next episode unless you're actually watching the preview of the previous episode. It's nowhere else online. Rwby is different, where they're just like, we won't give you the preview, but you know what? Instead of surprising people, we're gonna randomly post shit on fucking Facebook, we're gonna post it on Twitter, we're gonna post it on Instagram, or the voice actors are gonna fucking tweet it and blah blah blah. All of a sudden, if you even open up your social media for the past, was it 1 or 2 weeks that Rwby was on hiatus, if you even open your social media, this shit would pop up somewhere. And the picture alone of before the video starts spoils fucking everything. So I think that was a really stupid thing going into Volume 9, is that we knew half of what was going to happen. We just... And when you take into consideration, the reason I said they should be 2 episodes is that if you take into the knowledge of what happened at the end of episode 8, like, this was stupid. This proves how dumb a lot of the Rwby fandom is. Some people watched episode 8 and they go, he turned off the heat? Or did he change the weather? Does he have the power to turn it from snow? Some people actually thought he had the power to turn it from rain to snow. They didn't even comprehend that he was turning off the heat. That's how dumb the Rwby fandom is that some of the people literally thought that. And then other people were like, is it a climate control machine? Is it this? Is it electricity? And I'm just like, the Rwby fandom is so dumb, they don't even realize at this point that the show's never actually established that there's there's coal power plants, nuclear power plants, water tide, wind power. There's none of that in Rwby. Since day one, the one premise we've always had to go by is that everything in this show, any form of power, relies on dust. If there's heating, it would be fire dust combined with maybe lightning dust. Everything is dust. That's the fucking premise. If he turns off the heat, that means there is no heating system based on dust, which comes from the SDC. Like, it's so stupid that after episode 8, I had all these fucking idiots that couldn't even comprehend the cliffhanger. Some people were like, "Oh, this is shit cliffhanger," and I'm like, didn't Weiss say in like a previous episode? I think it was like episode 3 or 4 with the when they went into the mine, like she came out and she said, "Oh, if the heating wasn't handled properly, that it could drop to sub-zero temperatures within a few hours or something." Like that was made a big issue. Like what? Why said it? And it's like when you really think about the show and the world building, the thing I've been bitching about for ages. It's like, hello, you're basically in Antarctica with a heating system that relies on dust from from the biggest company on the continent. Turning off the heat. Come on, man. Like, people were really stupid between episodes 8 and 9. Like, you assholes needed episode 9 to info dump a ton on you because you couldn't even figure out the cliffhanger by yourself. Before we go further, okay, if I'm picking the show apart, one thing I want to say has been the biggest disappointment of Volume 7 in general is Weiss Schnee. Her entire character since she got back home has been shit. Utter garbage. I've never seen a character go from like best girl to worst girl so fucking fast. And the biggest issue, who was it? Was it Miles that wrote episode 8, and Eddie Rivers I think wrote episode 9 if I'm right? Because the one thing that pissed me off with episode 8 is perhaps the worst thing of this volume, because it is a MacGuffin. It was the stupid MacGuffin that I've been talking about with a lot of people online, and surprisingly everyone, once they get like a full explanation out, they start to realize that it is a really stupid and pointless thing, is Willow Schnee's cameras. That is a plot device for plot convenience that made no sense. And even if you're like, well, Jacques is emotionally abusive, I'm just like, yeah, that makes him manipulative, because that's what it turned. Using the word emotional abuse makes it seem a lot worse than what it actually is, because of the snowflake generation that gets their feelings hurt over everything. When in hindsight, emotional abuse most likely comes from high levels of intelligence and manipulation. It's something I actually look up to. If you're able to manipulate someone, call me sick if you want, but I look up to people that are able to manipulate other people. And it's tricky. It requires a level of intelligence to do stuff like that. And if your reason for putting these cameras up around the house is manipulation and emotional abuse, I'm just like, really? That's some petty bullshit. And how long have the cameras been up? How long have they been up? Have they been up for fucking years? The whole thing with Willow, like, is just stupid. Her entire character since she entered the show, for the one scene that she's in, is just stupid. And Weiss just like, episode 8 is Weiss sitting there, right? And she's like, we have to go to this party. My dad's involved with Salem. And I'm like, pause. How in the fuck did you put Jacques and Salem together? Like, that's a huge assumption. That's not concrete evidence. You don't have anything to actually go on that suggests that Jacques... Like, you're trying to get across to us that Jacques is a greedy arsehole and a bad father. Fair enough. He's a businessman first and a father second, and he's an arsehole. You can tell us that. We have no issues with that. But for those exact same reasons you're telling us he's working with the ultimate evil of the world that wants to annihilate humanity, how the fuck did you take those two concepts and put them together? Without any evidence, and then you're just like, we'll go to the Schnee Manor. We'll log onto his computer and we'll find some evidence that actually puts him together. And I'm like, okay, so if you're guessing in the first place, that's alright. Because until you get to his computer, you do not know. You could log into his computer and find no evidence, then he's innocent. But in the case of the plot, it would be kind of weird if Jacques actually kept a recording of him and Thing. Like, maybe blackmail purposes, but, like, it's not something he would have, like, even on his main computer. It's not something that I like. And the thing is, she didn't even have to hack into the computer at all. She just walked into the room. There's her off-her-face drunk mother who's fucking useless and hasn't done anything for any of her kids' life the whole fucking story. Like, if Jacques a bad parent at this point, Willow's a bad parent. I don't give a shit what the fandom says. They're both bad parents because she's a useless drunk bitch who's never done anything for her family. She's a bitch. But she is holding the MacGuffin in her hand that gets the story going. And I'm like, that pissed me off. The whole fucking remote shit just pissed me off, and I'm just like, you know what? It's good that the story's going, but I'm like, don't introduce this type of shit anymore. Please, really, just don't. Because then Weiss comes out and she's like, oh, I found this because of my mum's Deus Ex Machina bullshit. And it just so happens to have the one scene, and I'm like, why did Willow... Here's a question, legit question. Why did Willow wait, like, that information of, fucking hell, I'm forgetting the arsehole's name. Mr. Mustache and everything. Watts. That information on Watts and that would only be beneficial... Not even in Weiss. Why didn't she just take this to fucking bloody... Like, I get it, she may have given up on her father, but what's the point of putting the cameras in? The cameras are there to get evidence so that you can maybe do something with it one day. You would have evidence of Jacques slapping Weiss, which isn't that bad because it's a whole family issue. You're not going to get arrested for that. And it's a one-off. But if you got evidence of this guy called Watts who designed all the security, he's supposed to be dead, you have this evidence and you're like, I'm drinking, what to do with it? Could I give it to the Aesops? Could I give it to Ironwood? Could I give it to the Count? No, I'm not going to do anything. I'm going to sit in a room like a useless bitch until my daughter just happens to show up. And you know what? Because my daughter no longer lives at home, you go do it, hun. You're the future. Because I'm a dumb drunk bitch who can't do anything for the fucking plot. And this all affects episode 9. This all affects, because Weiss comes in, she has a little moment, Dad, you're under arrest. Because... And I really... The one thing I hope by the end of the season that I want explored, because they say something in this episode with Watts, is why he's the disgruntled Elysian scientist. And the little hint that we get this episode is a line that says it had something to do with the Paladin program in the past. That's what Ironwood says. It has to do with the Paladin program. And this were the giant mechs that we saw in Thingy that we don't see anymore. So apparently, you know, the Paladins that they allowed to be used, Beacon and Vale, and are not present anymore in Atlas, but they still use the mechanized troops, the Elysian Knights. They still use the Knights in both spots. So I'm like, what the fuck happened to the bloody Paladins? Oh, and then there's Jacques acting stupid. Like Jacques, oh, I wanted to get elected, but I'm gonna hand over your like, dude. This is the guy that he wants revenge on Ironwood, and he can hack into the entire Elysian military defense corps. And you got Jacques just being like, I didn't think he would do it. Like, Jacques' gone from this brilliant, manipulating son of a bitch to just a bitch. Not even Jacques. Like, if you watch Full Metal Alchemist and you got, and it was like one of the earliest seasons where they go to a town where they're turning something into gold, and there's some religious nut there. That guy was threatening to the moment he got taken out, and he reminds me of Jacques. Even the Fuhrer, like that type of shit, that reminds me of Jacques. But Rwby's that type of show with its identity politic bullshit. Not identity politics, just politics in general. It's ideology. It's like, wow, if you're a white male in this show, you're fucked. You are fucked. We're gonna find out that Jean is Mexican by the end of the fucking series, aren't we? Shit. So Jean gets out, Weiss, blah blah blah. What was it? Rwby's lying gets covered up by Oscar. You fucking bitch. You accept no response. Oh, I want to go. No, Rwby. I'll go talk to him. You go be a huntress. Like, don't get me wrong. I like Oscar getting development. His interactions with Ironwood are really good. I like that. But if that's the case, should never have lied to him in the fucking first place. Or Rwby should not have been the one to lie to Ironwood. Have Oscar do it. Oscar's the one with Ozpin in him. Oscar's the one that encountered Leo, who was supposedly to be one of his most trusted people. So Oscar could be the one with trust issues going forward, and Oscar could have been the one that have just been like, I don't know whether I can trust you, Ironwood, because the first person they told me I could trust in Leo ended up backstabbing us. From that aspect, Oscar would have made a lot more sense. Rwby coming in, having her first character development in 7 years, where she actually is like, hey, you know what? I'm gonna lie to somebody. And then down the road, doesn't accept responsibility for the lying and just goes about killing things like she usually does, really comes across as pathetic and shitty. Big plot. I don't. This is a pun. It's a plot hole. Is the hole in the mantle wall? Get it? It's a plot hole. I'm never doing that again. I was curious how it happened when I saw the promo, and I'm like, oh, the Grimm are attacking. Where are the turrets? Where is the military? Where's the actual effective weaponry? Yeah, the thing I noticed is that there's a hole in the wall. I'm like, why the fuck is there a hole in the wall? How is there a hole in the wall? Is there a bomb that goes off or something? And then you watch episode 9, and there just is a hole in the wall. It's not even explored how the hole in the wall happened. Like, did the Grimm just... No, because by the time the Grimm get to where the hole in the wall is, the hole already exists, and it's full of it like Elysian knights and troops firing their friggin' guns, and the Grimm run through the hole. But it's not actually shown how the hole actually fucking appears. And if it's a gate in the wall, why the fuck is it open? Unless what's hacked it, was there an actual scene that actually shows what's deactivating the perimeter wall or something? No. Like, this would have been cool if even the mantle wall was high-tech. Like, what if Mantle is just like this shit city that it is, But when you look at the wall around it, it is a legitimate like Atlas high-tech wall. It's not only concrete or steel or whatever it is, but it also has shielding covering the outside, so you have to get through a shield and the wall. It has the turrets on the side. It's high-tech as shit. What's bloody deactivates all the high-tech shit. The Grim are charging, and you see the Grim literally sacrificing themselves. Like, one will charge at the wall with its skull thing and bash into the wall, and you'll see the wall just like crack apart, and they just keep on sacrificing themselves until they break through the wall, and then in that moment, Grim just pop out of the fucking snow, like all the centipedes or the saber-tooths, and they go for the hole. Why can I do stuff better than this show? See? My head broke for a moment. My head breaks for a moment. Put both episodes together, have them flow better, fix up Oscar to be the liar, have the Grim attack the wall, have Watts deactivate the high-tech aspects of the wall, have some of the Grim die to actually show that this fight that we're about to watch between the Elysians and the Grim is on equal fucking terms and relies on actual strategy instead of the Grim just fucking, oh yeah, we'll just walk through missiles and God knows what else. You know, seem like the odds are there. At this point, we've been spoiled by the Grim in the promo. The Grim are just walking over the Elysians, and you want us to believe that the Aesops and Team Rwby and Junior are enough to turn the tides of war against a Grim invasion that's on the scale of Beacon. Where the fuck is this show going? Oh, and Whitley running up the stairs. I have one hope for Whitley. One goddamn hope. This is me hoping with this show, and I don't hope with this show easily. Whitley is going. If he goes to his room, I'm gonna be just fucking disappointed. Have Whitley go to investigate what's happened with the heating, because it looks like part of the controls come from the SDC. And what if Whitley's like a hacker? Like, he's good with electronics and shit. What if he can try to get back in? I mean, it's a Deus Ex Machina because it's a skill he hasn't displayed that just pops out of nowhere. But I really don't know, man. Like, we got a Grim invasion. Oh, you know what? Next episode. Grim invasion off screen. Everything's safe. It's believable. It could happen. It's like where I like the episode, but I don't like the episode. And how I sum it up is how I sum up all of Rwby. It's good ideas, but they're not explored well. They're not executed well. Or like, it's not executed well, it's not explored well, or it's shallow. That's the three aspects of Rwby's ideas. And it's like, where you actually watch the episode and you're like, wow, this is interesting. Here, let me ask you this, right? What is the fucking point? This is how I'm going to end this video. What was the fucking point of Willow coming in for one episode to give this Deus Ex Machina cameras all around the house when Robin is in the room? She's got a semblance. It's revealed this episode that everyone in the room is aware of her semblance. Trust is something we need to establish. If they use her semblance, it means people are starting to trust each other. The episode ends without her semblance being used at all. It gets close, but no one actually uses her semblance to prove that there's 100%, unless it's showing off screen. If it was off screen when Ironwood tells the chairman and Robin all about Salem and the Grim and that, if that was done with that, that should have been in the fucking show. if that's the intention, that it was off screen and they actually did it, and we have to wait for some fucking tweet from Rwby to say that's what happened, you guys are fucking morons at this point. So what is it? Off shock value, you get a 7 out of 10. Once you use your brain, 5.5 out of 10. This show is fucking shit, man. I swear.